All right, so now we're going to work on the sidewalk and get that elevated. So the first thing we need to do is take our 2D lines that we have for our sidewalks. And what I'm going to do is I am going to run my copy command. So I'm going to copy these lines and I'm going to put them on a new layer. So we're going to create this new layer called DTM-Sidewalk. And we'll go ahead and make that a different color. We'll keep it blue. We'll go to protect and we will put this on the DTM group. Okay. So when I apply this, what will happen is I'm going to go from 0, 0 to 0, 0, and then I'll apply that. We can close this, and then I'm going to come down and I'm going to turn off my sidewalk layer so I can just have a sidewalk. So then I need to do a couple other things. So I'm going to come in here. Right now there's no elevation on this, so we need to make it elevated. But what I want to do is trim this back to this line here. So I'm going to use my trim and extend command, and I'm going to pick this, basically this top face of curb line here, and I'm going to trim that off to that point there. And I'm going to come over here and same thing, I'm going to trim that one. Oops. Yeah, let's trim, sorry, I'm going to make this the bounding line, and then I'm going to trim that one off there. All right, so that puts my beginning at that point. So now I'm going to take this line, I'm going to right click, and I'm going to edit. And what we're going to do is we're going to change and set this elevation. So the elevation, what I want it to be, is at this line where it intersects. A couple ways I can do this. I could actually use this data prep lines command, which I'll show you as well. But what I'm going to do here is just set my cursor under elevation. I'm going to right click and I'm going to say a long line snap. I'm going to pick this line and then I'm going to pick this point, and what it did was it elevated that point to match that line. Now I'm going to come over here to this one, left click to get my focus over here, go to my elevation, right click, a long line snap, pick this line, pick that point, and now that elevation matches that point over there. Okay, so I'm going to close this, and actually I'm going to edit that. So let's go into edit. So what we need to do now is we need to put in the ramp of this slope. So I'm going to go back and turn that sidewalk on just for a second so I can see where my line is supposed to be. And basically from this point to this point, I need to come up with a particular slope. So what I'm going to do is switch to my vertical tab, and I'm going to use, instead of elevation, I'm going to say my incoming slope. So my incoming slope along this line to here is going to be, let's say it's 5%. So when I tab and hit save, what it's done is it's raised this guy up to be at a 5% slope. Now I'm going to come down over here, and what I want to do here is I want this point here to be 1% in reference to this slope. So I'm going to change this to an offset slope. My reference line is going to be this one. My cross slope, let's just go with a 2% cross slope. And my distance is going to be right there. So now I set that elevation so that it's basically 1% or 2% from this curb here. I could have done the same thing with this, but I wanted to make sure that my ramp was not greater than 8%, and I wanted to make sure and set it at maybe a 5% slope. So then I can do the same thing. I can now come over to outgoing slope, and I can pick this point here for my distance and tell it that the outgoing slope is -5. And then when I hit save, you'll see that it raises that. Now I could also do a cross slope if I wanted to, but So now I've kind of got that. I'm just going to leave this one kind of floating. It's not, it should be fine with my sidewalk, but now I've elevated that sidewalk accordingly. Now what I may also end up doing is I need to come down here and I need to assign an elevation there. So this one is going to be elevation, and it's going to be at a crossing line here, and its elevation is going to be I'm going to pick elevation. I'm going to right click and say along line snap. It's going to be that one, and that's going to be at a point, and that point is going to be an intersection. So you can see a lot of little snaps here. So if I say segments, and I pick this one, and I pick that one, and I pick my DTM-Sidewalk, it finds that point. I click OK, I click OK, I click Save, and now I've elevated that to match that there. I can do the same thing over here, and what I can do in this case, I'll do the same thing. I'll show you the intersecting lines command on the other curb. So what I'm going to do is say my distance along is going to be at the crossing of this line. My elevation is going to be along this line at a point. And actually, let me back up. I'm just going to go, so my distance is, I'll cancel, let me back up. So my elevation is going to be along a line snap of this line. My distance is going to be at crossing of that one, and that's the DTM. So the other way I did the intersection, this one I just did the crossing. Both will work. And when I hit save, now I've elevated that one. So it matches that top back offset curb, so I don't end up with any flags in there. Again, a little extra detail, probably not needed for most data prep processes, but if you were to stake this out and you want that level of detail, then just showing you how you can use these tools to do this. So, using the trim command and the intersect, or the setting the vertical PVI along this sidewalk. So we took basically the slopes and set this information. So again, this is more just showing you how to use this tool, and with a little bit of practice you can get pretty good at it.